Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are on lesson 17, which is on page 109. And we are going to be continuing with what we were doing yesterday. These word problems where we really have to decipher or kind of decide what operation's going on. So it says to use the read, write, draw process to solve each problem. And I'm really going to be utilizing that drawing today a lot to help me. So my first problem says, there are 20 students in the 5th grade. This is 1/6 of the total number of students at the school. How many students are at the school? So when I'm given a problem like this, I really don't know, is it an addition problem, subtraction, multiplication, division? So I can kind of go through it and ask myself a couple of things. Well, would I add the students to the 1/6? That would give me 20 and 1/6. That doesn't make sense that that's all there are at the school. I'm not going to subtract. And then maybe I'd ask myself, does it sound like a multiplication problem because it says like 1/6 of the students? So I could maybe check to see if I think it's a multiplication problem. So 20 times 1/6, which I would do 20 over 1, which would give me 26. Which I know is 3 and 2/6. So would that make sense that there's only 3 and 2/6 students at the whole school? If there's 20 in the 5th grade and that's only 1/6 of them, that doesn't make sense. So now I'm kind of left with it. Sounds like it must be a division problem. But it doesn't really look like a division problem to me because I don't see that I'm not cutting or dividing or splitting. So this is where I might kind of draw this. So it says that there's 20 students in the 5th grade and that's only 1/6 of the total number. So it's 1/6 of the total number. So let's kind of look at this. So if I have the total students, and I know that 5th grade is only 1/6 of them. I'm going to cut this into 6. So 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, and 1/6. So what is the total number? Well, they said that the 20 students in 5th grade only make up 1/6 of all of them. Well, that means that if there's 20 here, there has to be 20 in each of those. So if we put 20 in each of those, it would be easy for me to figure out what the total number is. So 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 twos, which is 12. So it's going to be 120. So my answer is 120. And that makes sense to me with the picture. Mathematically, then, what would that have been? How would I had to do that math-wise? That would have been 20 divided by 1/6 would give me 120. But this one's a little trickier for me, so this made sense if I draw it. So a lot of times you're really going to have to go through all your operations and then come up with different strategies. Okay, let's look at number 2. So number 2 says, Lisa needs to paint a total of 15 boards. She's already painted 1/3 of the boards. How many boards has Lisa already painted? So again, they don't really tell me what kind of operation this is, and your choices are always adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, or sometimes you'll have to do more than one if it's a multi-step problem. But this one, I think I could really draw a picture because it says she needs a total of 15. They told us the total is going to be 15. And they said she's already painted 1/3 of them. So these are already done. These 2 1/3 she still needs to do. So they're not done. So if I took the total 15 and cut it into thirds, what number would have to go in those? It would have to be a 5. So Lisa has completed 5 and she still has 10 more to do. But my question says, how many boards has she already painted? So she's already painted 5. 5 are done. So what would that have looked like? If I divided these, I really wouldn't have got 5 because if I did 15 divided by 1/3, that would give me 45. So that wasn't my answer. If I did 1/3 divided by 5, that would have given me 1/15. So that's not my answer. So this one actually was a multiplication problem. It would have actually been a multiplication problem because it was 1/3 of the 15 boards. So it was she's done 1/3 of the 15 she needed to do. So this one actually was multiplication, again, because she painted 1/3 of the 15. And remember, when I see that, I know that it is going to look like this. 1/3 times 15/1, which is 15/3, which is 5. So again, don't always get stuck just on the math. Try to draw it out and make sense of it, and then you can figure out the math afterwards. Okay, let's look at our last one together. This one says, a team of 5 students runs a half-mile relay race. Each student runs the same distance. How many miles does each student run? Okay, so the whole race is a half a mile, and there's 5 students taking turns to complete it. So they want to know how many miles does each student run. Okay, well, if the whole thing was a half and 5 of them took turns to complete it, that means they each ran less than a half. It's also nice to always know kind of where your answer should be. So they had to each run less than a half if 5 of them together did a half. So once I know that, I can think about my operations. Would I add these? Now, if I added those, I'd get 5.5. If I subtract, 5 take away half is 4.5. It wouldn't make sense that they each ran 4.5 miles. Is it going to be a multiplication problem? Is it going to be a division problem? I'm not quite sure. So again, I'm going to try to draw this. I know they did a half of a mile together. They did a half a mile together, and there was 5 of them who did it. So 5 of them together did a half. Well, to make this a little bit easier, I might make this a whole. So I might add the other half here. So then I have 1 total, because it'll be easier if I have 1 total. So if I had another half cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what does that mean my denominator has to be? My denominator would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, because your denominator always has to be out of 1 whole. So that means that 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, and 1/10 together would equal 5, or a half, which makes sense because 1/2 is the same as 5/10. So they each had to run this. So this was student 1 ran that, student 2 ran that, student 3 ran that, student 4 ran that, and student 5 ran that. And then together they equaled 5/10, which is the same as 1/2. So my answer would be they ran 1/10 of a mile each. So what mathematic would that have been? Well, it would have been they had the half mile and they divided it between 5 students, which would be 1/10. But again, if the math doesn't make sense to you right away, draw a picture to help you. And then go back to the math and see which math made sense. All right, have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.